Well, good evening. It's Monday night, so it must be Airfix and Chill, and we've got a packed panel tonight. We have a special guest on with us too. I'll get into that in a minute. First off, welcome, and we have the sad news that Terry Hobby Barn, aka Senior, passed away on Saturday. He's been in our prayers. There is a crowdfund still going on, which has been linked in the description box below to pay. I presume that will be to pay for his funeral. We want to share to the family, all from us and Ethics and Chill, and for all those who are watching, we send our love to his family and our deepest sympathies. And of course, to Terry, rest in peace, my dear friend, and bless you for all you've done for scale modeling. Okay. So, out of the way, we have a special guest on tonight. We have someone who you will have seen on the Airfix channel. You would have seen them on the Hornby trains, the Scale Electrics. You would also see him on TikTok, which I've been watching a lot of from him. You may have seen him doing his own builds for Halloween and for Christmas. So, Nathan, welcome aboard. Welcome to Airfix and Chill.
Oh, thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
No worries, no worries. So, do not go in. I'm going to say to the chat now, and we all here on the panel will be doing this. There's no point in asking Nathan about future releases and why Airfix haven't released the Bearcat yet or anything like that, because that is not his role. Do you want to tell us what you actually do for Airfix, Nathan?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a videographer for Hornby Hobbies, so I cover all the brands. As Moz said, I do mostly Airfix. So if you've seen Flight Deck, I do that once a month. Any of the unboxing videos, they're my hands in the unboxing videos. Some of the launch videos I filmed. So yeah, a lot of Airfix videos, but I do Hornby, Scaletrix, all the others as well.
Fantastic. What's been your favourite unboxing so far? Because you have the full archive, don't you? You have the full archive of real classics.
Yeah. I can give you a secret. I have just unboxed a dinosaur kit from the archive, so that's quite exciting. Yeah, we found that around the back, so that was quite a find actually. I was quite excited to find that one.
Was it the Corythosaurus one, or
it's a triple pack, so it has I don't think it's bats in it, but it's got a Stegosaurus and a T-Rex and maybe something else.
Nice.
I'll tell you what, those dinosaurs, you'll be surprised what Airfix were releasing back in the day. There was nothing off limits back in the day.
Oh, here we go.
Is that the Airfix one?
Yeah, yep. This is the old Airfix Corythosaurus. Yep.
Look at that. Look at the shading on that.
I was thinking when I was on.
Weathered that, haven't you?
Painting is I couldn't do the painting.
I've got to do it up like a. Oh, nice.
You've got one as well, John, have you?
Yeah, I've got a Dimetrodon.
Yeah, fair play.
Hopefully you find that owl.
The owl.
Yeah, I've seen it actually. Yeah, I'd like to find that one.
We're not talking about the owl ever again.
So have Airfix got basically every single model kit they've ever released in that archive?
Probably somewhere, but I won't have access to it because
you won't have access to it.
But yeah, I imagine there's somewhere. They do have an archive which is separate to that.
Fair play. And is it all housed at Margate, or is it like housed off site?
There is a room in Margate, yeah, which is which is off limits, but they might be dotted about other places, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, did you get involved with is it the Model World side of it, the new visitor centre? Have you been involved in any of that work?
Wonderworks.
Yeah, Wonderworks. Sorry, yeah.
So we filmed a video in there, and I think that opened in October. Yeah, it's really good in there.
Yeah, because you had the Great Escape bike there for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, for a week or so. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's gone back now, I guess, to where it was.
I think so. Yeah, there was a couple of Triumph bikes in there, which are all different time periods they were in there, but I think that one's gone.
Yeah, fair enough. So how did you start getting into videography then? What's your, I presume you went to college and learnt it. And so just tell us about how you got into it and how you actually ended up working for Hornby.
Yeah. So I went to uni in Manchester. I did geography, and then almost quite luckily, right after uni was lockdown, and then a month or two later I started at home, which was
Wow.
me. So it's super lucky.
Did you just ask for a job, or did they come to you?
No, it was advertised and I applied for it, but I
Really?
did actually used to make Hornby unboxing videos when I was about 10 or 11. So it's kind of
Yeah.
a weird full circle moment when I got the job.
Mm. And what was the first video you did for them? Was it a flight deck?
No, it was a Hornby signal box I did with Mike. It was the first video, I think.
Yeah, you work quite closely with Mike, don't you?
Yeah.
I thought he left. Did he come back then? Did he?
No,
No, he never
no,
left.
he's always been
Oh,
there.
fair enough. Well, that's bad then. Yeah, because he did a couple of flight decks and then he disappeared, and then like Dale kind of spearheaded it from that point on.
Yeah, it was Sprue Talk.
Are you like behind the camera when they do the Sprue Talk ones? Yeah.
Yeah, so most of the time I am, and most of the time I'm the one editing them as well. So I
You're
see
the
all the
editor.
outtakes that Dale does.
Is there some good ones?
Yeah, there are some good ones. I have to send you them
Mike,
one time.
yeah, Mike's actually in. And by the way, anyone in the chat, if you've got any questions for Nathan in regards to his work at Airfix or the Hornby, just put them up on the chat there, and I'll get them on the screen, and he can answer them. So when you're doing it, is it all prepared speech wise? Is it like are you like tasked from the marketing team? So I'm assuming you're basically working for marketing.
Yeah.
Do they like say we need a video on this, and then you go away, produce something, and then comes back, and then kind of works from there?
Yeah, it mostly works like that. So when you watch Flight Deck, it'll probably line up with a product release, or Flight Deck has kind of become Airfix recap. So anything that Airfix have done in the last month, either I pick or they say we would like to show this off in Flight Deck.
Yeah. And you work with Hornby. I'm assuming you go out on site and film like the trains. Have you done anything like spectacular with the train side of it? Because when I've seen the best one I've seen so far for me, Flight Deck, was the Ferret Scout Day. That was pretty special.
That was really
a good
cool.
day out. Did you get to drive the Ferret Scout?
Yeah, I did. We'd been before, actually, the year before, because we were looking at the same guy has the Austin ambulance. So when we filmed that when that came out, and at the same time behind his shed he had a couple ferrets. So I drove it then before it was announced, and then when we went back with Ethan and Luke, I kind of bottled it. I didn't really fancy it because it was a bit much for me actually. Because I was Luke was driving it and I was in the back of it and I nearly fell out. I was just taking the corners quite harshly.
Was that filmed, by the way?
I think I do actually have I think I was filming on my phone, and that's what nearly led to me falling out because I only had one hand on the back of the ferret.
What's your average day like at Hornby then? What you go into work, grab your coffee, then what actually happens on your average day for you?
So we usually get set tasks once a week and work through them. So I probably do 2 or 3 videos a week. Obviously it varies. When I do unboxing videos, I get like a bulk of 4 or 5, and I can film and edit all them in a week. But to be honest, it's quite varied, my day actually. I could do anything.
We're all content creators on here. Let's go a bit about because you can help us, right? TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all this vertical film.
Yep.
How would you when you're doing this sort of content, how do you film it? Is it all on a phone, or do you do it through a digital camera and then clip it to the 6:4 ratio, whatever it is?
Yeah, so
how
we have a camera which I film full frame on. So usually 4K. Not every video is 4K because sometimes the unboxings go on Amazon, etc. But then that means I resize it into those portrait dimensions, which sometimes is quite hard because they like an unboxing video if a sprue is quite big, it's a little bit tricky. But I always shoot with that in mind, that it will end up on social, because pretty much every video we do ends up on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels.
Do you has there been quite a good amount of growth when it comes to the shorts and the TikTok and the Instagram reels?
Yeah, the TikTok's doing really well. And YouTube Shorts, we've kind of only done properly the last year and a half. So I try and do one every 4 days, I think, which actually does help grow the channel quite a bit.
Yeah. Do you put the same content across all the 4 platforms when it comes to those reels?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Fair enough. No, it's something that I've been looking into. I'm thinking that when I put a short up on YouTube, it affects my views. I don't particularly like doing them, but but then again, I'm the first one to be lying in bed in the morning and then scrolling all the time. I mean, before I know it, it's 2:15.
Yeah, it's a really different audience. It's kind of completely separate to the YouTube, the full frame videos. It's because it's quite new. We still haven't quite figured it out. So we see a lot of the younger people on YouTube Shorts. So if you were after that, then that's probably a good way to get them in. I've seen your shorts actually, Moz. You've done quite well with them.
Yeah, some of them have done really well. Some of them have done really well, but then I just steal content. And I'm not saying so if I see something. What was the one I did the other day? It was there was a scene from There Will Be Blood, and he said, "Why don't I own this? Why don't I own this?"
Yeah.
And it was someone. It was, I think it was a guy looking at parts or something. It wasn't scale model related. I thought, well, I could just make that and turn it into Airfix. Why an Airfix catalog? Why don't? And that's what I do. I just look at it and think I could twist it some way into something that's related to scale modeling. It doesn't always work. I'm finding times quite tricky, like 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or a minute. But then when I go over a minute, even though I pay for the music, like Epidemic Sound, they will cut the audio after, even though I'm registered using it on TikTok and whatever. It's all right on YouTube, but as soon as I put it on Instagram or TikTok, they will remove the audio. So it's quite frustrating, really. It is quite frustrating.
Yeah, that is annoying.
It is annoying. Any questions from the panel for Nathan? Anyone got any questions? Because I'm just talking here.
We're used to that.
Shut up, Sally.
As a videographer, Nathan, what do you use software-wise for editing?
We use Adobe, so we use Premiere Pro or After Effects, which is kind of what I learnt to use when I was at uni. So it's quite helpful, actually.
So you're part of the paid club.
yeah.
What would you give advice to content creators then who can't afford it?
Well, there is plenty of free stuff which probably does the exact same thing. Actually, I find that the Adobe ones sometimes overcomplicate for no reason. But for the most part, there's no need to pay for it unless the company pay for it, I suppose.
Mike, cover your ears.
Any other questions?
So were you into the hobby in some form before you applied to Airfix, or is it something you've learned about since working for it, or Hornby?
I was into Hornby before, but I would say for Airfix mostly, I have been kind of learning on the job. That's probably my biggest disadvantage compared to you guys, is that I'm not a modeler. So when I make content for Airfix, that's my kind of obstacle, is that I can't build the models, and I can't build them as good as you guys can build.
I don't know. You did, apart from when you dropped it. You modeled right, wasn't it? Well, that was tragic. That was, wasn't it?
Yeah, that did sting a little bit because that took a long time.
Well, but I mean, that's a little bit more welcoming to the beginner modeler too, right? Getting people into the things, right? You know.
Yeah, I would love to do stuff where people can learn alongside me, if that makes sense. That's kind of what I'd like Flight Deck to become.
Yeah, I think that the quality on YouTube will put off a starter sometimes.
Yeah,
it's like, I think one of the things I found with scale modeling, if you forget the knobheads, actually we are such a welcoming community. You know, I've seen people put up their first ever attempts and they not understand how the paint works and stuff. There's no harsh criticism. There's advice,
Yeah.
but it's all shared in the same way that everybody's at a different skill level. And I think, you know, with these new starter sets, they are the perfect opportunity there to really get your head down and build. It's like that lifeboat. You think about that lifeboat. Yeah, forget the lifeboat, but that's another one. But for like the Lightning, the F-35, it's one color. Yeah, you got one there. Have you built it yet?
No, I brought it to potentially build on stream, but I don't think I'll get around to it. But I will build it, and I might put it up. We might do it for YouTube or whatever.
Yeah, you just you know, just stick the camera going and away you go, isn't it? That's basically where you know, that's how we all started. And you'll find because you're under the camera and you know you're doing it, that's where you get better because you start realizing, and that's another thing with YouTube, we edit out our mistakes, don't we? You know, we kind of edit out where we've gone wrong. No, well, I do.
I have too many mistakes to edit out, so I'm just like, this is why I mess up.
You could have told us this earlier.
I know. I know. Oh, actually, that's not my hands on screen. That's somebody else building the models. All right, it's not me. I just do
AI generated.
Yeah, AI generated. Yeah.
I'll try and keep mine in if I can.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean.
Because you know, yeah, I know what you mean, but because you get a lot of them, they're like, oh yeah, look, I can do this one really good, and then everyone else is thinking, oh, I can't do that. So I try. If you keep the cock ups in, it makes for us it makes us look just as normal as everybody else.
Yeah, I get that.
Well, I think there's some real value when you make a mistake. Is showing how you put that mistake right.
Yeah.
And there's some real value and learning there for people.
Yeah.
Because I defy anyone to say, you know, they don't make mistakes. We all make mistakes, all of us. But it's how you put those mistakes right that would separate your model from another one. So there's a lot of learning value there. You know?
Yeah, I want me to edit them out. I mean, you know, I've like when I did the Tempest and that I used a really I thought it was an expensive masking tape. And it didn't. It just bled underneath. I don't know what happened. It just bled right underneath, and I had to. And I just cut. I said that I've when it went wrong, I put a note in saying I've had to redo this, but I didn't actually go through the process of using the Detto and stripping it all back and starting again. But by that point, it was 2 days in, and I was very tired. And it was just easier just to cut that section out and just leave a note saying I had to redo this section, and then start again. That's what I was on about, not just removing any. I think also, when I mean to edit, it just makes the video too long, else, doesn't it? So. But yeah, I honestly, I think each one of us have improved because we now do it on camera. The worst thing about it is that because we're trying to get content out every week, we sometimes kind of rush on some of the bits as well. It was, some bits we've tried to speed up a bit, but yeah, it's all good. But as I said, if you start doing the starter sets, I think it's a really good place to start. And then that lifeboat as well. That's one of the kits I really am looking forward to. I think that whoever decided on doing that, that's brilliant. 200 years of lifeboat, and you're bringing out a model kit ready for it. And there's one down about 50 miles away from me in Exmouth. So it'd be nice if I can get the numbers for that one to put on there. I don't know. I think it's only going to come with one set of numbers, I think, this time. But maybe they'll bring out a decal pack or something that we can have all the numbers. Because it's a bog standard boat, isn't it, that lifeboat? So, which would be good. Hornby Model Airways, what would be a video you would love to make? What would be your ultimate video?
The videos I like making the most are the ones where we're out and about. So the ferret one, like you said.
Yeah.
The Sea King one, that was a lot of fun. So another one like that would be great. And I really liked seeing everyone's reaction to it. That's the most satisfying part, is when you finish the video and you can see everyone reacting to it live.
Have you because as I said, the Sea King, that was a really good video, and I like your talking heads videos when you've got the designer just talking.
Yeah.
Who designed the Spitfire again? What's his
Chris.
name? Chris.
Yeah.
His interview about the Sea King and the Spitfires I think are one of the better ones, where he just sits there and just gaps, basically, just chats away on what he's done. And it was there that I heard him first say that for a designer to design an Airfix kit, it's very strange because you don't see a finished product.
Yeah.
And that was like the realization to me was actually he's right. For a designer not to actually finish, it's you stop at a point, don't you? Basically, when all the plastic, all he's done is the plastic. So there's best visibility, then he just gives it to us then to finish off. That was quite a poignant interview, I think, from him.
Yeah, very true.
Sorry.
Can I ask you something, Nathan?
Yeah.
I'm not going to ask you what's coming up in the pipeline, but when something new is in the pipeline, are you one of the first guys on the scene?
No, I'm probably one of the last guys on the scene.
You're one of the last guys on it.
Yeah, so I would maybe film it once I've got a painted sample.
To make stills, for working off.
Sorry?
I thought you'd have been the ideal person to make the stills for the designers to work off.
So, sometimes maybe, but a lot of it is they can take a still on their computer, so they've got that covered. And then once they've got a painted version, I'll come in to film it, and that's probably when they tell me it's coming out.
Right.
Paul Davis has asked a really good question. Does your insight into comments on videos, etc., contribute towards Airfix Hornby product decisions?
So we see all the comments, and we will, when we can, forward them on to development team, and they probably get a very, very, very long list of potential ideas, and they do consider them. So if you do leave a comment, then it will be seen by me or some of the development guys read the comments as well.
Interesting. Yeah.
Can I make another?
Yeah, carry on. Yeah, it's open platform. Anyone can ask questions. It's just I'm just trying to keep the conversation flowing.
My channel, it's been up and running about 6-7 years nearly now, and I've never really built much in the way of non out of the box builds. Most of everything I build is just putting what's in the box together, decals that are supplied in the box. And I wondered whether, if you did that type of thing but with just Airfix products, do you think you'd get a lot of people follow your channel just to see that?
Yeah, you mean like a starter set thing where we build the paints?
Because you said before that you're not really a fantastic modeler. You don't really know much. Well, I never classify myself as a good modeler. Some of the stuff I've built has got like seam lines underneath the fuselage, and to me it's just so, unfortunately this is how it's turned out. And I always get people who comment and say, God, that seam line could do with some work. But I think it's part and parcel of just not being as good as most of the other people on YouTube are. And I think people like to see that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I've kind of, in my previous builds, I've always cheated a little bit and used a spray to cover up the bad paintwork. So that's probably the next step for me, is just building straight out of the box.
Because some of the starter kits are actually good. They're really good.
They're really good. Yeah.
They are good. Yeah. I think the biggest change we've all seen, and I think it was there's two amazing choices that Airfix have ever done. One of them is cartograph decals.
Yeah.
That without doubt, that is, well, there's actually three. Yeah, that one's one. The second thing is to say, right, we're not just going to get an old tool in, add some pots of paint, a brush and some cement and call it a starter set. We want to give them the best experience ever of building a model kit. We're going to redesign brand new tooling for the newbies, which I think was fantastic. It was another great idea. And the third one is also the fact they don't hide the fact that the kits are old. So they brought out a vintage classic range where they rebox old tooling, but you get fresh decals cartograph decals.
Yeah.
It's worth the money, before. So worth the money in itself just to have those, because I've got loads of vintage kits upstairs that I've never built, never not even intention of building, just because the decals are foobarred. So yeah. I don't know if we could ask him that, Celtic, because he doesn't really deal with that. Nathan, do you see Airfix including resin or resin STOs as part of a kit?
I don't even know what that question means. Sorry.
Yeah. No, just the idea of 3D parts and stuff that you could. For instance, we never understood why the Jaguar came left-hand drive in the starter set. Obviously, they did the mold and did the tooling from a left-hand drive Jag, and remember, 90% of all E-type Jags ever sold were left-hand drive because they all went to the American market. But what they could have done was sent out an STL file which you could then 3D print and make it a right-hand drive.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thought on it. But then the decals wouldn't be right either. I don't know. It's just one of them sort of questions.
I think it's something the guys have answered before. I'm not in a position to answer it, so go find that answer. But,
no, that's it. Where do you see Flight Deck in the next 12 months? Have you got any really big plans for it?
I'd like to be out and about more, like I said. I would like to build more, like another Halloween thing. I would also like to do dioramas, which is not something I've ever thought about before. I did a little scene thing for the Halloween thing, like a little pumpkin patch, but I'd like to do like a proper diorama. That'd be a lot of fun. But more building on the channel, definitely, and on Flight Deck.
Yeah. Is Flight Deck your baby then at FX?
Yeah, it kind of is, yeah.
Yeah. What's the equivalent to Hornby then for the trains?
Mike does Signal Box.
Signal Box. And what about Scale Electric? Do they do one?
They used to. It's not dead, but they haven't done one for a while. They do Test Track, which Dan hosts, who's also a videographer.
Did you do the Poker or the Pusher? Did you do those videos?
Yeah, I've done some of them. Dan does a lot of them, so Dan's really good with the on black. We call them sexy videos. So any sexy video is usually a Dan video.
Yeah, they're quite good. Dan. So is he work? Is he another videographer and editor for? How many are there on the team then? How many have you got on the team?
So it's me and Dan, and then Mike of videographers.
Fair play. Just going for any more questions. Well, I'll tell you what would be good. What would make a really good video? Why don't you come down to me and fit my workbench, and we could build a model on my workbench.
Yeah,
I'll let you use I'll let you use some proper paint.
You can pop into the shop.
I would like to do that. That sounds good.
Yeah. You could come down and sit on my workbench. We can build a starter set together. That'd be a bit of a laugh, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be good.
He's got a nice submarine you could have a bash at. You got 6 parts.
Only got 6 parts. Yeah. I enjoyed your build of the Lambo. I haven't finished it yet, mate. I've got about 5 pages of it to do, but it's the last bits are the most intense, and I'm still reeling at the fact that a bit of the photo etch scratched the paintwork. That really hurt me. That did. That sickened me. It was here. Because the instructions didn't. The problems with poker instructions is it's all exploded view basically, but they don't. It's not step by step. So where I put a part in and glued it all in ready, then the next part was an arrow pointing up saying that's got to go in there, and it wouldn't fit. I had to then break it off to then fit the big part to fit the little. They need. But then when I pushed it in, a little bit of the metal would scratch the paint, and I was like, sick to the stomach. But it was a really good experience. Would I build another one? I wouldn't buy one, but I would. I'd have another crack at one. But I don't think I could afford to buy one. They're just right up there in the prices. So, yeah. So the future of Flight Deck. Have you got anything coming up in the next videos? Because you've got Flight Deck. You do one about one a month, don't you?
Yeah. So usually we aim for the last Friday of each month. If it's a particularly slow month, which you kind of find after Christmas and after the range launch,
Yeah.
We might do them a little bit less frequently, but I always want to get the guys on camera. So any designers, I'm coming for you. So
Have you yeah, Ethan. Yeah, he's done really. You chuck him in at the deep end this year, haven't you? He's done
definitely.
3, hasn't he? He's designed 3 of the starter sets. He's done the Messerschmitt.
Mm-hmm.
What else has he done? The others. He didn't do the lifeboat though, did he? The lifeboat was done by somebody else, wasn't it?
No, yeah, that was someone else.
Yeah, well, fair play.
Yeah,
because I suppose you all those that were released or announced, apart from the Typhoon, they're all being released by at least June, isn't it? You've only got 6 months, and you've got 15 products coming out within 6 months of each other, isn't it? It's quite a tight schedule for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure when they're coming out, but when they do come out, I'll get Ethan down and sit him on a chair, and we'll ask him some questions.
Yeah, definitely. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. I remember any questions. I see you put one up there, Alex. What are the most common mistakes you see amateurs like me making video creation? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Hang on, let me take notes.
I'm taking notes already.
My mind went straight to Blenheim because I heard Moz mention that your last episode. So voiceover is always my hard part. Luckily for me, they go through the guys at Airfix watch them before they come out, so they usually don't slip through the cracks. But that one did.
Mate, I did the tour. I did the tour at Bristol, and the guy said Blenheim, and I thought, and I Blenheim, and I did that video, and destroyed me. It's Blenheim. But the guy who took the tour said Blenheim. So I think you say it either way, but it sounds very German when you say Blenheim, doesn't it?
Following on from that, Moss, the important question for Nathan is decals or decals?
Yes.
No. I do say decals, and I do get a lot of stick for it in the comments.
Decals, that's it. It's official. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going now. That's what I needed.
Just call them transfers, Nathan. It'll be all right.
Yeah, that's a safe bet. Actually, I remember that.
Have you done a video on the 3D print using the 3D printer? Humble 3D printer.
We did a launch video, so we did the on Black promo stuff. I did get to use it as well. Yeah,
it wasn't very sexy, that though, was it?
The video's sexy.
Well, only Moz could make a peg.
No.
Yeah, an Airfix.
No, it pains me, that printer. It really does. I've never got anything back. Like I said, they said, "Oh, we're going to send you files you can print." Got nothing. Absolutely nothing. Got it to work on a Mac in the end after a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and backwards and forwards from the guys. But it's something that we won't even talk about that. Well, do you do much content for Humble then at all?
Not a lot. A lot of it is third-party stuff. So we pay someone to make that content.
Really?
Because obviously in-house I cannot airbrush or anything like that, so it has to be outsourced for the most part.
So you wouldn't get someone like Pramjit in to airbrush the paints and stuff?
We could do. He's a very talented guy, but he's designing, isn't he? All his time is his design. And you can definitely see that in his kits for sure.
Yes.
Or he's modelling.
Yeah. The stickers. It's definitely decals or decals. Yeah, I think that's going to be the question of the day, isn't it? It'd be an argument for it. Like Tamiya and Tamiya, isn't it? It's
Sorry, Master. I didn't mean to stir the hornet's nest.
No, that's fine. I'm getting comments now.
I wonder when you hear calls. It's not decals, but decals.
Yeah.
I mean, I pronounce things weirder than like most people here, so I wouldn't worry. Like I say pasta instead of pasta. So,
Was it scone or scone?
Yeah. Tomatoes, potatoes, isn't it?
And I say plastic as well.
Do you?
Yeah. Not all the time. But I was like re-reviewing a video I did, and I swapped between like plastic, and I was just like, what the am I saying? Like, no one in my family has this accent. I didn't grow up anywhere with this accent. I think it's just because I've moved around so much. I just say things in really random ways. So yeah, if you ever feel bad about decals or decals, just remember I say plastic, and I'm the one who's the real loser.
No worse than me and Luke. I mean, we're from Birmingham, so we've got the worst accents going.
Oh, I suddenly feel so much better about myself.
You just my universal translator. I didn't quite catch that one. Okay,
Bab.
Or you can come from Devon or Somerset, where I'm from, and you speak proper grammar like what I does.
I just go.
We make it up as we go along, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Mosses would call it a tractor.
Tractors. Yeah, Hornby Mod says lightning sound can make and break a video. Yeah, we've got under the impression that the one unforgivable sin is bad audio.
Yeah.
Bad audio is just number one sin. You've got to have good audio. Lighting is very important. Hence why I've got lights and I've got big bright lights above me, and because you want it onto the screen. But yeah, thirdly, it's just keeping the momentum going in the video as well, so you don't lose that. I think that's one thing about Flight Deck, because you have 3 or 4 subjects as you're going along, and you actually involve the community quite well, because at the end of the videos, you sometimes show pictures of recent builds from people who've sent them in, which is really good, really good engagement. Must send you some of my pictures in.
Yeah, you should. I do always try and show people's builds because it's a good motivator, and some of them are really, really good, and they deserve to be showed off as they are.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, when you're doing your videos, do you work off bulletins or do you work off complete dialogue?
So I'd write a script. So sometimes it's just based on.
You do the same as I do, because I write complete dialogue. I know exactly what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
How I'm going to say it, when I'm going to say it. I think it works better.
Yeah, I would really struggle if I had to make it up on the spot.
Would you really? You write a script down, do you?
Yeah, for the most part. Sometimes if I'm building, I find it a little bit easier to say what I'm doing. But for the most part, I write a script.
So Hornby's saying Mike's been brilliant with the questions tonight. I don't know why he's asking. I bet you've given him these questions, haven't you?
Yeah.
Keep it safe. As someone learning how to build, what advice would you give a new modeler?
I think just get stuck in. I think that's the quickest way I've learned, as little as I've learned so far, is you just got to get stuck in. And patience is really important. It's something I actually have struggled with is when I'm building, is that I either get frustrated really quickly or I want to finish it as quick as I can because I'm excited about finishing it. And actually, if you take some time, and what I did for the Christmas one I built recently is I built it in an hour at a time, so I didn't rush it.
Do you have a favourite stage?
Sorry?
Do you have a favourite stage during the build?
Definitely not gluing. Get stuck to me, but
you don't use that tube glue, do you?
I do for the starter set videos. I do.
You don't use Tamiya Extra Thin?
No, polycement only. Sorry.
Have you tried this stuff?
Yeah, I've tried that. Yeah, that
is phenomenal stuff.
No, that is good.
I'm not lying. One of my challenges is when I go to a scale model show, we go. It's called the Humbrol Challenge. You got to try and find Humbrol for sale at a model show. And on occasions I've been, and they don't have the paints there, but a lot of them sell this stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they don't put this in as well. They used to. There's been a few where they call them they weren't starter set. They were like it wasn't called starter sets. They're like the big starter set, I think they called them. It comes with more than 100 toothbrushes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they have one of these in, but it was in a yellow bottle, obviously. But honestly, I don't know why you don't use it. This is so much better than that toothpaste stuff. It really is. But you must know that, really. But so when you're doing it on a video, you will use the products.
spraying with a Humbrol spray, but I'm usually well, I'm always transparent with what I'm using in case someone wants to follow along or don't want them to think that they can produce the same kind of thing with something they might not be able to.
Yeah. So, do you want to ask a question to Nathan?
It's there on the screen. You're asking dyslexic to read. How many times did I tell you that? I've forgotten the question. I did write it again because I didn't think it went through, but yeah, it'll come up again later.
What's your process like? The seeking and ferret. How do you figure out what you want for the video? That's a good question.
So it does change from product to product. With the seeking one, we knew it was going to be a surprise release, so it had to be something impressive. So we're quite lucky that we got to film with one and in one. And we always know that we want to speak to the guys who designed it, because of course they've got the best insight, and it's something that we can offer that a lot of other people won't be able to offer. Is the time we get with the designers. The ferret one, I knew it was going to be a fun video because Ethan and Luke are both quite funny guys. So I kind of just pointed the camera at them, and then they got in a ferret, and that was quite fun. So it changed from product to product, but most time we do designer and a kit video, and maybe if we're lucky enough to get in front of the vehicle or aircraft, we try to.
So with stuff like that, so like with so like Seeking is probably the best one because it's the only one I can remember off the top of my head. But is there anything that you like, you already go in sort of like wanting to film, or like I don't know, I'm trying to think the right word, like a story part that you want to tell with it?
Yeah.
Or like this particular shot, sorry, is the word I was after, like that you want from it.
The Seeking one we blocked out beforehand. So me and Mike together wrote a storyboard and a treatment of what we wanted it to look like. So we knew we wanted it to land and for Chris to come out of it. We wanted it to start with kind of an empty shot. So you guys at home would be like, what is coming? And then Chris gets out of it and places it. That was all rehearsed and planned. Whereas a ferret one is we have the questions beforehand and we kind of let that do the work, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And does it generally turn out the way you want it, or does it usually go sideways and you've got to try and figure something else out?
The Seeking one in particular was tricky because communication was really, really hard because we had a guy on the ground who was communicating to the crew in the Seeking who would then communicate to Chris. And it's really, really loud if you've not been right next to a Seeking.
We have, yeah.
So I was shouting in Dale's ear to shout to the guy with the walkie-talkie, to shout in the crew's ear, to shout in Chris's ear. So communication was a bit tricky, but
did you go up in a Seeking?
No, I didn't. I didn't fancy that one.
Didn't you?
No.
Did Dale go up in it?
So you missed a trick on that one.
Yeah, Dale did go up on it. Of course he did.
Did he?
Yeah.
Wow. I just like the way he comes in. I like the way Dale just comes in and goes, the cat is out the bag. He
I told him to say that, by the way.
Did you?
That's my line.
That's your line. Yeah.
No. If you ever get the chance, anything like that, always just say yes. Trust me.
I've
always say after from now on. Always just say yeah. Trust me.
Okay, deal. Next one, I'll say yes.
Did you? Because I didn't see any film. So you had nobody inside filming. Because all the filming was all done on the floor, basically on the grass. You had nobody inside filming it or nothing like that.
It was I think it was because they needed a minimum amount of crew, and they could only take one person because of that minimum amount of crew. So we just couldn't do it.
Oh, that's a shame. Surely Dale could have been up there filming for you. Do you know what I mean?
No, he dropped the camera from
it would have been terrible.
the top. I didn't want to do that.
Yeah, but no, that would have been fun to go up there and have a bit. It's an amazing place. That historic helicopters.
Yeah,
and I promise you, there's plenty there that you'll end up. You'll be going back there again. I'm pretty sure to film other stuff at historic helicopters in the future. There's just so much wealth there. It was a phenomenal day out. And it's. You know, I think, yeah, definitely. I think Airfix will be there again, filming a flight deck from historic helicopters. So yeah, did you find it easy then to film the Sea King to the ferret? I suppose it's chalk and cheese really, because the ferret is just on the ground. With the Sea King, I suppose you only had so many minutes of flight because it's so expensive to get them up in the air, isn't it?
Yeah, it is different. The ferret, we really got to take our time because we've worked with the guy before, and I forget his name, but he's a really nice guy. So he basically gave us 3 ferrets and said, "Do what you want with them." So that was a lot easier of a day. The Sea King, I think we had 20 minutes to shoot all we shot, and then obviously once it landed and they packed it away, we got to interview the guys on it to flesh out the video a little bit. They're all really different.
Wow.
Did anyone from Airfix do a donut in a ferret?
Yeah, probably. I'm pretty sure they must have. If they didn't, I'll be disappointed. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
Did you ever put it on camera?
Probably. Yeah. I don't. They probably did an accidental drift, I would say, more than a donut.
They do fly, don't they?
Yeah, they're quick. They're a lot quicker than you think. And when you're driving them, you might be doing 20 miles per hour, but it feels like 100.
Really? Yeah, I can imagine the weight in that.
Yeah. There's no windows, so you just get all the air in your face, basically.
They're quite prone to turning over as well, aren't they?
No one told me that till after I got out of it, actually.
I've actually had quite a few people come into the shop who used to work on or be deployed in ferrets.
Yeah.
Including one guy who worked in Northern Ireland, and they turned theirs over, and they were stuck there for 4.5 hours. They said they couldn't get out of the escape hatches. The escape hatches were absolutely useless. So they had to wait until somebody came along with a lorry and pulled it upright for them to be able to get out.
Yeah, there really isn't a lot of space to get out of it. We were shown how.
There's not much to do in there. I can't imagine.
No, there isn't. I think it's up to 4 people can fit in it or something, which is ludicrous because me myself, I'm 6'3", so it was a tight fit just for me.
Really, 6'3". Yeah, you would have, even kneeling down, you would have been touching your head on the turret.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been, as I said, the last couple of flight decks have been fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think this is what I'm saying when people say, when I say something about Airfix and they say, well, how do you know that? Go back to just watch the flight deck. It's the same. I think they're undervalued because you've got with thing like flight deck is access to the guys who are researching, developing, creating, designing the bits of plastic that are on our bench. I love if you can do one with Jonathan Mock. I think he's worth getting on to talk about the whole process. We've had him on Airfix and Chill before he was poorly, and it wasn't until I read up on it that he actually designs the decals at full size, and then he shrinks them down to that scale. So everything's designed at 1-to-1 on his computer. Then he's scaled, but I think he'll be really good to get on flight deck at some point and have a 15 minutes with him, asking him really good questions on whether it's decal or decal.
Yeah, that's a good one for him, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. But yeah, he'd be really good to get on. Right, so we've got 10 minutes with Nathan because I said Mum calls him in at 9. Have anybody else got any questions for Nathan? Put them in the chat.
Orlix or Ovaltine?
Sorry.
Orlix or Ovaltine?
I don't know what you're talking about, sorry.
That's the correct answer, Nathan.
Yeah.
Have all the models you've been building up to now been aircraft, or have you built anything else?
They've literally all of them have been cars, actually. All the starter set cars. So
I think you need to do a plane next.
You know what that means?
F-35's on the way, isn't it?
You need to do a Spitfire. Have you done a Spitfire yet?
I've built one, not on video though.
You've built one. Which one? The starter set one or the original Mark 1?
The newest starter set one. Yeah.
I think you should do the Mark 1.
I thought you were going to say the 24th one then.
No, the Mark 1. The one you could do a 124th.
No, I think for balance,
the old tool. No, don't suggest that.
no, I think for balance, really, you need to do a ship, the Titanic starter gift set.
Oh yeah.
I think that new HMS Ajax, when it gets released, I think that'll be a good one. That's simple.
Yeah, I'll do the Great Western.
You did the Great Western, did you?
No, I definitely didn't. That one looks quite tricky.
You should do the Mary Rose. That's a good kit.
Yeah, I've seen people build that. That's a good start.
Yeah, the Mary Rose is a good kit.
Yeah, it is a
I
good
enjoyed
start.
that.
You did put out a little, I think it was you, on YouTube asking what people wanted. What was the results of that? What were they more interested in? More builds, wasn't it?
I think it was mostly model videos and designer videos, which just makes sense because they do the best on the channel. And Sprue Talk, of course, people like Sprue Talk, which should be coming back soon, hopefully.
That's Dale's realm, though, isn't it? Sprue Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on Sprue Talk.
I think, though, it goes to what you were saying, Martin, what Luke said earlier. It's the insights that we can get. I mean, especially, from a personal point of view, the talks that Chris and, Pramjit and the other designers give, it gives that look behind the curtain and that insight into why things are done, which I think is really valuable. And only you guys can give us that. I think the unboxing videos, really, for me, I get why Airfix do them because they're your kits and stuff, but that's kind of what we're here for. And, a lot of people look at kit videos from manufacturers like, well, they're not going to say anything bad about their own kits. So it's kind of like, you get an early look at the kits. I think those sort of unboxing things are it. But then you'll see, Moss's video telling you, a thing came off my Rotterdam, or you'll see James's video about something. Whereas those ones which have those, unique insights from, designers, people like yourself and Dale and stuff, I think are really good. Yeah, and the Sprue Talk as well. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, I think you for you, Nathan, I think you've got a lovely blank canvas. You've got a highly respected brand, and they've put a lot of faith in you, and you have been producing some phenomenal content. Whenever I see one, if I can't watch it that day, it will be on my save watch later, and when I get home, I'll be watching it, and I do watch, and I do. They are brilliant, and I just think that you don't get this from other companies. That you are there. You've Tamiya don't do nothing. Ravel's in German, and they just want Boris Becker to just as a picture. But their latest model. Do you see that? Oh, they gave him that Porsche to build. I bet he hasn't built it. I do. No. If he pays his taxes, that would start, wouldn't it?
I thought he was in prison anyway.
I thought he was. That's what I mean. Convicted criminal. Here you go. Here's the Porsche for you to build. That's Ravel.
There's a file in the box.
Yeah.
He's got to have something to do in there.
I was going to say, he probably hasn't got a Porsche now to drive, has he? He's just got to build one now. Look at what I used to have. You know what I mean? Thanks, Ravel.
He can drive it around his cell. Right?
Yeah. But no, seriously, Hornby, they do that, and nobody else does this stuff. No. So, it's good. So, but the other thing is, with the insight, do all the designers come on, or do some designers don't want to chat about their models?
All of them do in different aspects. So there's a few who might prefer to do a Sprue Talk, which is completely fine because when they signed up for it, they were never told they signed up to be on camera. And some guys really excel in the designer interviews, like Pramjit, Chris, Ethan, Luke. They all really enjoy it. But I think they all enjoy Sprue Talk more for some reason. I don't know if I put them off, but
I don't think it's that. The thing about Sprue Talk, it is, talking head. It is that panel sort of thing. I'd like to have one night on Airfix and chill and have every single designer on, and argue, see who and see whose views different. The thing is also. The way Pramjit comes across and some of the things he's explained, like his design decisions, make him, and I'm not saying this in a shitty way, but you look at him as like one of the top designers there now. because he's come across when he does Phil Flory, and he was talking about how he designed the masking parts for the mosquito, or the way he put the tabs on a particular part so you could just spray it up, the numbers on the tab still, spray it up there, you cut that tab off and you can then fit the part. These, you know, he designs it as if you'd want to build it. And that kind of puts him into like a higher level, thinking that maybe the other designers haven't come up with other ideas, but because he's said them, it and I'm not trying to make it in a shitty way, I'm being honest. You know, people say, oh yeah, that Pramjit, he's got his own on the board because he is a modeler. But who's to say that the others aren't modelers? I know Ethan models, doesn't he?
Yeah,
you know, they all do a little bit.
They all do
So
to an extent because they have to build their test shots when they come in.
Yeah.
And they are all really, really talented. And that insight that Pramjit has, he will share with all the guys. And likewise, if someone else comes up with something, they share it all. So it's almost like one brain up there.
Yeah. That's what I mean. But the way Pramjit comes across, you know, he's more revered, if you know what I mean, because of he's explained his design decisions, and Chris is also there as well, you know. But I think Chris is more of a thinker, you know, when he speaks, if you know what I mean. You can see how he's with Pramjit. He's very open and says, "This is what I've done, and I've done it because if I was building that scale model, I would want it to be easier for me." And so you get that sort of look, and he's just coming on strong because he's a young designer. But he's the only three I know of. There's Ethan, Pramjit, Chris. Who's the other designer then?
Matt's a designer as well.
Matt's a designer. Yeah, he's very good. Because he's done the E-Type Jag, I think.
Yeah,
and he's done the Bulldog, hasn't he? He's done the Bulldog, the new Bulldog being released.
It does sound like you're trying to organise a designer pit fight, Moss.
Yeah, a mosh pit. Yeah, a mosh pit. I'd love to be in the middle and have all the designers on the outside and then just fire questions. You've done a Bearcat, you've done a Wildcat. You know, there's a Jaguar on its way. How about doing a Bearcat for me? Give me a
that'll be your only question, wouldn't it?
No. It's never going to happen. It's never going. I know it's not going to happen. It's just not commercially viable for them. That's the problem.
No.
But it would be nice, wouldn't it? A nice 148 Bearcat from Airfix.
I'll pass it on, shall I?
Mate, I've told them all. I've offered them champagne and happy endings and everything, and still they won't do it.
You don't want to know how far Moss will go.
I really don't want to know.
No. Yeah.
The problem is that the British forces never used the Bearcat.
No.
So Airfix probably wouldn't be that interested, would they?
They could just rebox the Hobby Boss one.
Yeah, they could do. Yeah. So anyway, any other questions for Nathan before he departs and leaves us?
Do you have a blooper reel?
Yes, and you'll never see it.
Oh, come on! That's one of the things that only you can give us. So.
Yeah. Well,
that's real value.
Maybe when I leave Airfix, if I leave Airfix, that'll be my last video.
Have you got any plans for your future? Have you got? I know Airfix is your job now, but is there anything you'd like to do in the future? Is it like you know, you've done short films, haven't you?
Yeah, that's what I went to university for. What I'm enjoying most at Airfix at the moment is my presenting, so that would be cool. But any opportunity I could do that, I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
I didn't at first, actually. I really hated it, but almost grown to love it.
You're going to love it. That's a good point to end on. Well, thank you, Nathan, for coming on tonight. I wanted to get you on because I just wanted to push out the fact of, you know, that Airfix do have Flight Deck and Sprue Talk, and you are the man behind it. And as I said, when I've mentioned things and people say, well, where have you heard that from? I've heard it from Sprue Talk. I've heard it from Flight Deck. And I said, you're the only company that really does these sort of things. Tamiya, Hella. I know they're different languages, but still, you know, nobody does them. Edard don't really do them. You know, it's a very, very interesting place to be to bring out this content. And I think, you know, the way your TikToks are growing, I think Amanda's behind a lot of that as well, isn't she? Doesn't she do a lot of the filming and stuff?
Yeah, she's really great. And we work together quite a lot on on ideas and stuff like that. So yeah, she's really,
fair play to
really
you.
fantastic.
Well, really, thanks for coming on, my friend. Really,
No, thank
really
you.
appreciate
Thank
you
you for
coming on.
all the
I just
fine
want to
work.
get you on, yeah, so that people will get to know you a little bit more. Hopefully, I've asked all the questions and everything that's needed. That people will now go along now, and if you can, after the live stream, obviously, go over and have a good watch of the flight deck and subscribe to Airfix if you haven't.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And say
Thanks,
Moz
Nathan.
sent you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank
What's
you.
that?
And say Moz sent you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Moz sent you.
And don't forget what I said about us reading the comments. So if there's a video idea or something you want, it's easier for me to bring to the guys if it's in comment form, and I can say people are asking for this. Why aren't we doing it?
Yeah, that's a good shout. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks, Nathan. Really
thank you.
appreciate it.
Cheers,
So
guys.
Nice to meet you.
9 o'clock.
Yeah,
Thanks for
guys.
coming on.
Cheers.
If you ever want to come on again, Nathan, just give us a shout and we'll get you on. Never a problem. All right, my friend.
Thank you. See you later, guys. Cheers.
Thanks, Nate. See you, mate.
Take care, buddy.
Cheers. Bye-bye. What a lovely fella.
You mean if we haven't traumatized him too much, Moss?
No, no, that's it. No, that's it.
You only said Bearcat twice.
Oh, I have to put the makers of it on.
Can I mention something about your Rotodyne, Moss?
No.
I was just thinking the other day that if that kit was 1-to-1 scale and the back clam doors are made of metal, it would have more armor than a Tiger tank.
Do you reckon?
You see how thick those doors are?
No, I need to have another look at it. I've actually sent it away now, haven't I? Somebody else has got scaling models has put it now to build.
I think the doors on the back of that thing are about 3 or 4 millimeters thick.
Really?
2 times 3 or 4 millimeters. That's more than the Tiger tank's front braces, isn't it?
On my monorail is Mike's just said we have a great team across all the brands, and it's a big team effort to bring you the best content we can. Thank you, Mike. Yeah, appreciate it, mate. I really do. I said I appreciate it. I just wanted to get it out there that if you haven't heard of Flight Deck, and the other one that's an unsung hero, which I like to get on, is Michael, who does the workbench articles, because at the end of the day, they're there forever. Those once you write that article and it's full of information, there's an archive there of the kit. So in say 30 years time, when we're like picking up, when we're looking at our stashes and we're in our 70s thinking we're never going to build that, you can go back and see the article written about that particular kit, which is good. So how's that Hellcat going for you there, Fenris?
That's going pretty well. Coming along pretty well.
I've been watching him build that.
So you're
good.
Guys, what are you using to paint the parts with? Is it Tamiya or Vallejo?
Oh, Vallejo.
Oh, Vallejo, is it?
Yep. The primary metal to our metal color and model color for the aluminum and gunmetal, respectively. But I'm also using their model color.
That metal color from Vallejo is amazing.
Yeah, I love these. I didn't realize I didn't have it in gunmetal, so I'd run out and get this one. But my only gripe about these, and it's a very light one, is at how thin they are coming out of the bottle, because they can pull very easily when you paint them on the model if you're not careful. But that just means that these are some of the easiest metal colors to airbrush. Like I've never had an issue whatsoever with this, even compared to like some of the other Vallejos. These just airbrush so well.
What's the color of the nose cone or whatever that's called? I'm sorry.
I just grabbed dark gold gray. It just said to use a dark gray, and I could look up the Humbrol and try to match it. But to be honest, close enough is good enough, and that's close enough, so it's good enough.
Cool.
It's a little dark, but
I like gold gray. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not.
Hell of an engine, isn't it? That double wasp.
Say again.
Say it's a hell of an engine, that double wasp.
Yeah. I'm kicking myself because I actually built this almost a year ago now, and I really should have painted all of the parts before assembling them. And now that I haven't, I'm pretty much just looking at this and going, okay, what all can you actually see, and only painting that. But it's
Well, just
a little
spray it.
sad because it's
great.
a
Nobody would notice and put a load of oil wash in there, and they'd be done.
Yeah, exactly.
Then, you know what I mean?
Yep. Well,
I think
but
we
it's
get-
just
we
it's
get-
such a nice like this in and of itself is just a nice model in and of itself. Like if they just sold this as a kit, they could easily do so. So I kind of wish I had done it better justice.
Do you know what? They could sell that double wasp by itself, and it would actually go in quite a lot of older. I'm just thinking of the Revell Corsair. 30-second. You know,
It's isn't it?
you could use it for that. Sorry, go on. Dog's in the way.
I mean, you'd have to modify it because
Oh,
like, the struts and everything aren't going to necessarily line up. But hey, you know, they could do it.
It's going to be better than some of those old 1960s kits.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, John, Alec, how are you, my friend? Life
Doing
treating you
good.
well?
I'm sorry?
Life treating you well?
Yeah.
Good.
Treating me well. As well as
Yeah.
can be expected, man. So
Yeah.
I downloaded the ANYZ, so ANYZ. They have available on their site a full double wasp engine. It's in 1/24. It was like $10.
Really?
Oh, that's not bad.
Downloaded it. I downloaded the brochure, which was an extra $6, but it kind of goes through how to build it and it's step by step what they used, you know, to paint it, to weather it, to all that kind of stuff. And I can't wait to tackle it. Yeah. So,
If I had a 3D printer, I would pick that one up as well because
I'll send you this Humber one.
I had a working 3D printer.
That's a 1D. That's a 1D printer, that, isn't it?
It's a fuck off printer. That's what it is.
what's one that works? That's fine.
I shouldn't laugh about it, really, should I? Cry.
Is it like a machine gun, Moss? Does it overheat after 5 minutes?
You know, I think it's actually a rebadge of a printer that I used to have, and it was outdated when it was brought out, kind of in 2010.
It's called Easy Thread. It's called
Yeah.
Easy Thread.
It's just so. I mean, it's so expensive, and it's so behind the curve. It's just. It's not even funny. It is sad. I was saying to Moss earlier, I got a trade, the Hornby discounts, the trade discounts for March, the offers, and one of them was a Humbrol 3D printer bundle. And I thought the reduced bundle price, trade price, was the RRP, and it was still expensive. And I was like, how do you expect to sell it if you've got, you know, the SRP is higher than this price is? You know, when you can buy something for half the price, half the trade price, which is, you know, like 10 times as good. It's just the wrong market.
Yeah, it's you know, I think they cut a deal with the company that was making them, and it's called Easy 3, by the way, because when I put the video out, the comment it overrun the comments. It's on Amazon, and it was like £99, and they were selling it for 200 quid. To be fair on them, I've heard that the resin, you know, not the resin, what they call it,
filament.
The filament. So I said the word filament is quality filament, it's very good filament, but it's also the wrong filament. Like if you make a peg with it, it's not springy. So when you squeeze it twice, it loses its spring. It cracks. It cracks. Yeah. And as I
They've
said,
made a chocolate teapot.
I can. Do you know what? Right, I would put that 3D printer down like the most expensive treadmill. That's right. That's right. Yeah, I always used to say that the most expensive clothes horse is a treadmill because in the corner, or an exercise bike. You put your socks on there to dry, don't you? You know, it's the most expensive clothes horse. Is an exercise bike or a treadmill, isn't it? You know, and that's what it is. And I laughed that night when I was doing that Tempest. And it wasn't a Tempest. Which one was I? Was it what was it? It was something that had a lot of what do they call it? Stencils. And I was over my table like this. I was like, oh, my neck was getting sore. And I looked across, and there was this printer, and it was like the angel voices, and it lit up. Whoa! Oh yeah, grabbed that, put it on, laid it on top. It was perfect. So I was up high, then doing, and it was brilliant, close to the magnifying glass and everything. So yeah, it was very much a case of that, really. I feel sorry for whoever, you know. I reckon it was Simon Kohler, and that's why he's gone now. Ooh, bring out a 3D printer. Brilliant.
Yeah, I think the 3D printer company saw them coming.
Yeah, there's better 3D printers out there. I think the one that Matt from Model Minutes uses is a brilliant one that he's got. I've seen a lot of his videos; they're quite good. But yeah, at the end of the day, if you're good, but then do I want to go down the resin route? You know what? And I talk to people with resin, like 3D Gizmo. It's not the easiest thing to do, is it, lads? You're better off buying, if you want an engine, you just will buy it for £4 or something, isn't it? Of somebody that's made 20 in one go.
Yeah.
Feel, you know what I mean? I don't know. What people's thoughts on it? You know, it's.
I have a problem with resin anyway. I just can't work with it.
I think that there's no doubt that for extra detail, and, you know, adding to the build, 3D printed is the way ahead. I don't think anyone can argue that. From a user point of view, where I would, I mean, there's plenty of STL files now that you can purchase if you've got a printer. So once you've set your printer up and you've dialed in your settings and all that sort of stuff, it's quite a hassle-free process if the file's good. Now, one of our guys, Stu Goodswin, he's an engineer by trade. He's a design engineer, so he uses CAD all the time for work. Now, I can sit there, we can be in a Zoom call or whatever, I can sit there and tell him what I want verbally, and within half an hour, he's designed it on CAD. And then he sends it to his printer and he prints it. It's amazing to watch that process. But bearing in mind, that's his job, that's his profession. Me, he tried to teach me CAD, right? And the only thing I managed to design was like a square block with a tube attached to it. That was it.
Is that right? It wasn't a peg then?
No, honestly. But I think if you've got the know-how with CAD, then the world is, if you can imagine it, you can build it.
The thing is that 3D printing is still in so back in like 2010, when it started to kind of become a little bit, I won't even say mainstream, but more of a tinkerer's thing rather than like dedicated, you've got to build this thing out of bits from, you know, RS and Maplin. It's still in that kind of tinkerer piece. Now, filament printers are starting to get into like consumer level of reliability. So like Bamboo have done a lot towards that, Creality as well. So that you can actually buy a printer, you put it together, and there's still some assembly required of most of them, but you can more or less take it out of the box, put the things in and print them, which is what most people want. Resin is nowhere near there. I mean, resin is very much firmly still in the non kind of commercial retail environment. It's still tinkerers. And that's just for the actual printing. What you're talking about there, Luke, as well, is CAD is designing the pieces, which is a whole completely different set of tools and skill sets, which go really well together, you know, because you can realize, you can digitally design something and then realize that in actuality. But most people just want, like you said, boss, you know, they want an engine or something. So once you factor in, you've got to buy the printer. You know, even if you're getting a cheap one, 200, say get a cheap one, £200, coming down in price all the time. You've got to buy your resin. You've got to buy your washing stuff. You can get away with curing it in the sun and things, but it's still there's lots of steps to it. There's it's not pleasant stuff, like John said. You got to wear gloves. So there's a safety aspect. There's the disposal of all the solvents, because once you've washed something, that solvent you can't just flush down the toilet. So most people don't want to be involved in that. And you think about how much, say it costs £300, like all in, to get some stuff. How many engines could you buy for that? You know, that's probably a couple of years of most people's aftermarket use, even if they're fairly heavy users. So I think if you're interested in the kind of tinkering side of things, which I guess a lot of us are, because, you know, this is a creative hobby and it is a creative kind of tinkery side of thing, it's great. But a lot of people aren't. And that's absolutely fine, you know. And I think just buying this stuff, you know, there's no shame in that at all. So I've still got a way to it being, you know, Star Trek replicated.
Well, I would say for instance, Alex, you said to me, right, I've got this, I don't know, I've built an engine for the Qatari Spitfire 132. I would rather give you the 30 quid for developing it, designing it, and buying it, if you know what I mean, than me going out and spending. It can't be shy away from 500 quid to get a decent setup for a 3D resin print now. I know the pricing is going down, but the quality stuff is still up there around the £1,000 mark, isn't it? So
you can get a decent 8K printer or 6K printer now, which is good enough for most of our needs. At a reasonable price, like £300, but then you've got all of the other stuff that goes on with it, you know.
Yeah.
All of the washing stuff, and yeah, you can do it in a Tupperware tub and things, but then you got more faff, you know. So it's if you want to actually buy a kind of an automated, not a semi-automated setup, then yeah, £500 is a reasonable kind of expectation for somebody to on that outside of consumable costs.
Yeah, that's a fair shout. That's a very fair shout. Yeah, Celtic West agrees with that as well, but 100%. It's something that I've not even really looked into. You know, the closest I've got is that Humbrol printer, and that was just because it was it had a Humbrol label on it. That's why I bought it. And to be fair, you know, the guys at Humbrol were very happy. You know, they did help, but when they said, "Oh, we're going to be sending out files of things you could build and everything," there's nothing you can do with a filament printer in reality, for 1/72 or 1/48 scale. What you can build is particular tools to help you with your scale modeling, i.e. your that rack you sent me, brilliant, really good bit. But then I've got one made out of wood, which I could easily do myself with a laser burner, you know, without using that, which has its own issues and tissues anyway. But yeah, as I said, it's interesting how when they crack 3D print or resin print is when we end up on Mars. That's what I think. You know, I heard, because I'm into space, you know I am, that they haven't used 3D resin printers on the International Space Station.
I imagine it's because they're putting an enormous strain on the air system.
Yeah,
they'll be throwing out a load of volatile organic compounds.
Because I was listening to what's he called, Chris, the astronaut. Oh, he's a legend. I've just been listening to his masterclass, because I get masterclass, and I listened to what he had to say about being an astronaut. And they just couldn't send a guitar up to space because there's products in the varnish of the guitar that can actually be stripped because of the cleaning or the air conditioning and stuff and everything that's on the space. So they couldn't just send up any. It had to be specially prepared so that none of the chemicals would affect because you're up there. There's the risk of losing your life up there is high as it is without a chemical being released, ammonium and stuff like that.
If you think of it, it's like a fish in a fish tank, right?
Yeah.
Anybody who's kept fish knows that anything you put into the fish tank stays in the fish tank. So all the time you're feeding them, that comes out of the fish. They crap it out, and you've got to deal with that. And you rely on the biological filtration to an extent, but that doesn't stop the fact that that's going to build up. You've got to clean it and stuff. And now you're taking, that's water-breathing fish. Now you're talking air-breathing humans out into a sealed box in a vacuum, effectively. That's harder. And it's people you're dealing with. It's not just, oh dear, Tittles has died, we'll flush him down the toilet. It's a bit more of a deal if, Tim the astronaut dies on live TV or something.
Well, Apollo 13.
Yeah, exactly.
Houston, we've got a problem.
Yeah.
There's some good podcasts on that one, on Apollo 13 and stuff.
Yeah.
Really good podcast from BBC on that one.
Yeah. Look at the innovation that went into redesigning the scrubbers and that was just to deal with carbon dioxide that people were breathing out.
Yeah,
that's not bringing extra stuff in. So I can imagine it would be a problem.
Chris Hadfield, that's the man. Chris Hadfield. But like I said, and also, and it's like, when I watched that talk by Elon Musk, we sent man to the moon late 60s, early 70s, and we forgot how to do it. We've had to rethink on how to get a man back on the moon.
Well, look at the last moon lander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
over or something, right?
Cheers, Matt. Nice to see you, mate. Yeah. It's like we and he was quite right. He was like, look, we don't even know how we made the pyramids. It's scary, isn't it? When you think about it, it's scary. We've forgotten. If we're not careful, we forget what technology. It's like I've got a load of magic videos on VHS. Vasa, you know what I mean? I've got, and the other day I was thinking, I'll buy one of those tape to DVDs. Remember them? You used to be able to get a tape player that you could record onto.
That's right.
Have you seen the price of them now? Because they don't make them anymore. You go on eBay and you try and buy a tape to DVD recorder. It is absolutely astronomical because they don't make them no more.
No.
If you want videotapes. The price of videotapes, and that goes on the same lines as the old Polaroid. I've got one. I've been playing around with Polaroid, but years ago you could buy like a pack of 10 was like £1, and you'd be able to take point and shoot and click, and out would come an instant cam. Now it's £25 for 8.
Oh my god!
I know. Wow. So when I got them, and I was like, it was good fun. Don't get me wrong. I was crap at taking them. They were awful, some of the pictures. But we lose it. No, we have. You say that, mate. We haven't forgotten. We have forgotten. We do not know, or what the documentary and it was I think it was on Netflix or something. We haven't got the engineers anymore to create the engines that Saturn used, because the people, the tool makers, all that, are gone. They're dead.
They've passed on.
And if you look at it, you look around the world, we can't fly our Vulcans anymore because we can't get the parts.
No.
True.
Look at the stuff that to overhaul a steam engine is £10 million, isn't it, or something? To overhaul and put a steam engine back on the tracks.
To build a new boiler, it's about £1 million, isn't it? So
it's scary.
Yeah. Well, put it this way: all this talk about CAD work and things like that, it's sort of. I should point out that I did the old school way. I could draw it. I could do engineering drawing using French curves and whatever, and dividers, compasses, protractors, all that kind of thing. And it's all forgotten stuff now. It's all we'll do it all with CAD. What happens when your computer breaks down?
Use another computer.
I'll give you a good analogy of that. Our taxi office runs off a computer system. All the work comes in off the phone. It's all tapped into the computer, and the computer distributes all the work to the taxis on the road. There's only one person in our entire office who can do it without the computers, because you've got to write every job down. You've got to know where all the cars are.
Yeah.
One person. And if that person's off work, we're buggered.
Yeah.
Nobody can get a car.
Guessing Fred Dibner did it in his backyard. He had all the tools.
It's exactly the same issue.
Yeah, and the problem isn't the fact that we're using computers now or digitization or anything. It's the fact that the underlying skills and the reasons that you do certain things are being lost or forgotten about or not. I saw a program, nothing to do with modeling at all, about this was probably about 10 or 15 years ago, about a field and the way that this new farmer came in with all these kind of new ideas about how he's going to do stuff, and it's like, I'm going to get rid of this stuff, I'm going to elongate this, I'm going to plant this crap. And within a year, his farm was basically dead. And they had some old bloke who says, yeah, well, the reason they did this with the hedge here is because of the runoff, during heavy rain seasons, comes along here and strips. And there were all these kind of rationales for why the field wasn't optimized from this guy's looking at it. And it's just like, you have to understand that baseline, before you go in with whatever tools. And if you understand the baseline, then using new tools is fine. But you can't replace it completely and just forget all of that, because you've forgotten the foundation on which it's based. You've got to keep the foundation. That's the whole thing about building on the shoulders of giants. You stand there on prior knowledge, but you keep the prior knowledge. It's like when the Alexandrian Library burnt. We lost hundreds of years of technology and had to relearn. You can't get rid of the old stuff. You need to just understand, improve, build on. You can't throw out that foundation. So I think perhaps we did a little bit of that in the 80s and 90s, and it's coming back to bite us a little bit. We're having to, in a lot of cases, re-engineer things that we used to do one way. We haven't just adapted, we're now just having to, the Apollo 13 engine thing. Yeah, we can build better engines than that now. But the thing is, we had to do that from scratch. We didn't learn from the Apollo 13 stuff. We didn't continue with that. That stopped. Then we went back and re-engineered everything. So we've double worked it. So not very efficient, not very clever.
No, it's not. And you would. I think we've got a better chance now of saving information than we ever have. But the problem is that we've now gone on to cloud, and all we need is something to go bang, and all the information will be lost again.
Massive solar flare.
Massive solar flare. And the risks is real. It's and but people were saying to me, what's been one of the, when it comes to scale modeling, we talk about how scale modeling has gone forwards in the past 10 years because of this, that, and another. But we're still using plastic that's been around since the 1950s, so to speak.
That was an improvement on the prior cellulose acetate, though.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Imagine building kits out of Bakelite. You know what I mean? But that's the truth, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? We haven't advanced. We haven't got. We're not using polystyrene that can be recycled easily. All we can do is whack it through the mill again. Do you know what I mean? I don't care what anyone says. Whoever the doofus was in the late 80s that decided that we can gain an extra 10 years on a fucking road by putting tar pitch down and little stones needs their ass smacking. I tell you, nothing has put a business into perspective as every time I had a chip on my windscreen this week, haven't I? So luckily I was able to get it repaired. But I remember in the 70s, in the 80s, no cars had chips on their windscreen, was it? It's a new thing because they tarred. And the worst thing is now, that stone doesn't stay there. You get patches of just tar that's so slippery. I've been up the ass of many a horse rider because they're in the way because that stone's missing and the tar's just there. Do you know what I mean? But that's it. We seem to do things on cheap. And I said, when everything's moving on so quick, but you look at everything, like with planes, they fly on, they don't use wire anymore. They don't actually have physical wires.
Cables.
It's all done by signals, isn't it? There's a company who's got a Scania bus, right? And it's been parked up for 3 months because the box because there's no wiring. It's all done through Bluetooth on this bus. So when they want to indicate left or right, there's a little signal, and then the signal goes out and tells the lights to flash. But that box, they can't get the box to work
By Bluetooth.
by Bluetooth. Yeah,
There's a lot of trucks like that
Came
now.
up with that.
I know.
Bluetooth, one of the most unreliable connections we've come up
Well,
with.
you look at the Sprinter vans. They don't use an actual cable to pull the throttle anymore to add more fuel to the engine. It's all done by electronics.
Yeah.
So when that Sprinter blew up the top end of Bristol 3 weeks ago, it was because the accelerator stuck on and it just overheated and went bang. Because they couldn't turn, couldn't turn the engine off. It just and that was it. Like, well, what do we do? Next thing you know, it caught fire and went bang. All
My
because
next door neighbour's got a Volkswagen type SUV type vehicle, and it's got no mechanical link for the gear system. It's all electronic.
That's what I mean. So yeah, that's what I mean. It's not mechanical anymore. It's all done by optic fiber and stuff.
By wire.
I think Airbus still have the wires, don't they? Or was it the other way around? Or Boeing still have the wires?
Boeing still have the cables.
Yeah.
Physical connections, yeah.
Yeah, it's still it's still but yeah, when electric goes down, I know that little propeller comes out and flies, so it gives electricity to the main bits, but I don't know.
Have you ever tried steering a power steered vehicle when the power steering fails?
Yeah.
Not easy.
Not easy. No.
Yeah.
Although the interesting thing is that over 40 mile an hour, you don't need a powered steering rack.
No.
Thanks, Celtic, mate. Appreciate that. Pumping up the argument. The reason I said it was I was coming around the bend. I think the story. I was coming around the bend, and the horse was in front of me, and I whacked on the brakes. And I slid on the bit which didn't have any stone on, and I just slid. I thought I'm going to hit him up the ass. And anyway, I was only doing about 30 miles an hour. It wasn't silly, but
I'm doing a John Alec. That tickled me. That
one. When John starts, he don't stop, does he? So
I've got visions of that scene out of
I think there's something else that'll tickle you. The first thing that went in space, Laika the dog. She's still up there,
No, she came back, didn't she?
No, she's still floating around up there, isn't she?
She's still up there.
Yeah.
She cooked on the way up.
She overheated. Yeah, poor thing.
What was
just covering Pablo's ears.
Yeah.
Second
That's all right. That's not a dog anyway.
Oh,
don't listen, Pablo.
Yeah.
Don't listen.
He's a dog.
He's a dog.
He's
Pablo looks like he's been come back through re-entry, but
he's in his space jumpsuit. Look.
Yeah. Oh, shut up, Wayne. That's horrible. Wayne, you can't say that. That's just dreadful. I thought Laika came back.
No, it's the monkey that came back, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
I can't remember what the monkey was called. Was it George? Is that his name?
I have no idea.
I don't know, but
Bubbles, I know that.
I need to know now.
Yeah, I need to find out now.
Well, it's not Plastic Monkey, so
Curious George.
Was it George?
Laika's the dog, isn't it? It went up the Russian dog.
Laika was the dog, yeah.
Albert II.
Albert
II.
There you go.
It wasn't a very good name because apparently Albert III and Albert IV also died. Yeah.
At some point, you just give them a different name. You don't start just if you're just going to number them, just number them.
Yeah. No, when you hear a dog whimpering, that's the worst, isn't it? It's almost just listening to a child cry, isn't it? It's awful, absolutely awful. No, anyways, but yeah, no. As I said, the only development with scale modeling really is the tooling. We've seemed to have cracked on and got the tooling right, you know, with all this new water jet stuff and everything else. But when it actually comes to the plastic, really, polystyrene is still 70-year-old technology. The only difference now is we use Tamiya extra thin.
It works and it's cheap.
Yeah.
And I mean, the recycling aspect of it is, it's a will thing. You know, if polystyrene was more expensive, if there was more of an impetus to have to recycle it, then people would recycle it. It's because it's cheap that people don't want it. Because it's the path of least resistance, which is terrible. So,
but you're right, the quality of the plastic hasn't changed in 70 years.
Well, it depends. I mean, some of the old Eastern European plastic was a little bit worse.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but even, you know, Market Plastech, he said that some of there's ABS plastic, isn't there, and stuff, and you know, and there is higher quality of plastic. But what I mean is that I know that they talk about Airfix have gone back to the plastic that they had in the 80s. That, what's the word they used? The mixture, the specifications of plastic is back to what it was in the 80s.
PCI quality number or something.
There's a name for it, yeah. No, apparently 5 months later, Sputnik 2 landed, disintegrated during re-entry, so it's not up in the sky, John.
Oh, right.
He came back.
Still up there. Oh,
yeah. But yeah, technology, we lose technology, and all right, we gain so much, but you know, it still makes me laugh. You know, the old technology does still work, but then we forget how to use it, and that's it. Then we have to redevelop another way of doing it. So
it's like Roman concrete. You know, the secret of Roman concrete was lost for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
It's only recently that they worked out kind of how they did what they did, and it's self-repairing. So it actually has like dry bits within it that when water goes into the cracks, it remixes it and basically fixes itself. So, which is why Roman concrete didn't crack in the way that modern concretes do.
Yeah, was it 10%? Was it the because like a lot of farmers, when they used to make their tracks, they would mix 90%, or was it like 70% mud or whatever, or gravel they have on the floor, and they mix 10% of the cement in, then and it'll be dry. They would lay it down, and then they would pack it down using a tractor and a roller, and then over the next 4 or 5 months where the rain used to hit it, then it would then seal the road, and it was a cheap way of doing it. But there's all sorts. They use volcanic ash. They did use volcanic ash as well. But talking about that, any new releases this week? I've not seen any. I've not had no emails of any releases from any manufacturers this week.
The Hobby Boss Trumpeter catalogs are available now. They're not as PDFs, but I've seen they're being sold actual physical copies, which I think is why Scalemates is being updated earlier. Why it wasn't available, because they'll be putting all of those announcements on. Because we had some pages leaked in January, but the actual official ones always come out at the end of February, beginning of March. So
Moss's favourite company have got a release sometime this year as well, haven't they?
I love Kit.
I love Kit. Yeah.
Or I Heart Kit.
It's the worst shocking name. It's like they put in there, what's the one love of a scale modeler, and they put it in a Chinese translation. I Heart Kit. Oh yeah, we'll use that as a name. Honestly, it's such a crap name. I wouldn't even buy one because you've got a shit name.
Right.
You know. There's nothing I Heart Kit. Listen, I Heart Radio is crap. What's going to make
like right out of I Heart New York, isn't it?
Yeah.
Have you got the
I'm going to bring out a model company and just have a smiley face. That's it. It's going to be the brand, smiley face.
Well, that's the Good Smile Company, Moss.
Yeah.
Smile Company.
I used to work in
the reason for that good smile.
Do you know, the worst plastic model company going is a company called Bum.
Bo?
They're called Bum. BUM.
The Happy Smile Company.
It's funny the names that come out of China. I remember I used to work in the mountain bike sector, and one of the companies that make like specialized bikes or things like that, or orange bikes, is a company in China, and it's called the Shined Wheel Company. The Shined Wheel Company. Look it up online, you can. And they make bikes for the big brands, you know, and then put £1,000 on it, like, you know.
I think there's a spot in town with that name.
The Shined Wheel Company.
I used to work for both Japanese and German companies, and when we got new products through, we gradually trained them that they should send native English speakers their new product names before they got approved. And we had one company, it was a slide stainer, so for diagnostic slides, so it put all the stuff on and stained them automatically. And some of the names that came through, one of the best one was the T-stain, so the T stain, the SH1T stain. And we were just like, you can't call a product that's going to be sold in an English-speaking country the shit stain. No. And it's just like, you just think, where are they coming up with these things? You know, surely they must know some colloquialisms.
You should actually read the on the side of the Hobby Boss kit. They put the history, because some of the translation is lost. And they say this a tank's got firecrackers.
Yeah. Tamiya used to be
when they win, it's the celebration.
Yeah. Used to look at some of the explanations of how you build a Tamiya kit in the 70s, and really, please glue the underside from the top. Stuff like that, you know.
It sounds like a way to cure hiccups.
Yeah.
One of my real issues with scale modeling, especially when I'm doing in-box reviews, is I am so piss poor knowing what parts are called. And the thing we've lost from Airfix is the instructions.
There was a number of companies that used to do that. I remember AMT used to do it for cars, because as a guy that does not know car parts, let me tell you.
Yeah, I know car parts, carburetor, disc brakes, you know, all that. When it comes to a plane, I'll tell you who is good at it. It's Gary Stuff. He knows his parts for a plane.
Well, you know the double wasp engine that Fenris is building there?
Yeah.
People were saying about that front lump on the front of the engine.
It's the gear case.
That's actually the gearbox.
Yeah, the gear casing. Yep.
Yeah.
I missed that part of the conversation, apparently.
Yeah, that was me. I didn't know what it was called. The that front.
Yeah.
The gear casing. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Gearbox casing, gearbox. Yeah.
But I'd love to get a book that breaks down these things, you know, and gives you the names of everything. And when I do my inbox reviews, I can say, oh yeah, this is the filter, this is the, you know, it's just a shame really. But yeah, it's one of my things I said to myself, I need to learn more, is the parts of a plane.
We could all produce one together. Aligned to mechanics or something.
Yeah.
Because I call it like cars and different, you know, railway track things, and I can't even say what they are.
Yeah. And I can be on a video, you know, I cut this bit out. I mean, like, you know, and I was going, and the bit around the engine on a plane, what's it called again? And I do that. But hang on, I just had it in my mind. I've just forgotten it then. What's it called? It goes around the end, the cowlim. Cowlim. Yeah, just forgot it then. I picture it, know it, but got a video. What's going on? You know, like I have a brain fart, but instead of coming out my ass, it comes out my mouth. You know what I mean? It's like,
in fairness, the only reason why I know that this is called the gear housing is because I had to look it up so that way I could specifically talk about the paint and gear housing on this plane in the video.
Yeah, but there's also different names as well for it, isn't there? You know, I say gearing, some people say undercarriage, some people just say wheels or tail wheel or front wheel. You know, it's,
you know, oleos. You know, the legs themselves, they're oleos.
Oleos. See, I've heard that before, but I never knew that was, you know.
I think because that's more the technical. I think that's more the technical term for
You should be on the ball with it, Sully. You working in a museum.
I am, but you've never asked me.
I'm going to go there one day, and I'm going to shave off my beard, put on a disguise, and I'm going to go on one of his talks and just say, "What's that bit called then on the mesh?"
No, your action's too obvious. You get too excited.
Yeah, yeah. I got excited when I went round it. Yeah, it was good. I must go up there again soon. Must come and visit you. Spend a day up there again and pay the 20 quid to park and go in and have a look.
Yeah.
We'll make a day of
Yeah.
it.
Make a day of it.
Remember what all the masks are called.
I still think you should do what you should do, Sully. Is have a model build there. Have a weekend of model building, but the crux of it is that you can only build the model that's on display at Cosford.
Yeah.
That would be brilliant. So you have tables around where the planes are, and you'll say you're going to build the Fokker Wolf, FW whatever, and you. Which one? You got 3 there, haven't you? Different ones.
We've got Fokker Wolf 190.
190. What's the other one you got?
No, that's the only Fokker we got. Apart from
Is it? I thought you had 2.
No. We had 2. Yeah. So it's the only Fokker I can give. No, we had 2. We had 3 Messerschmitts. We've got 2 now. We had the 163, which has gone down to London. We've got the 262 and the 109.
Right. So if you wanted to build a 262, you would have the table set up around the 262 and you build them there, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That'd be a good little thing, actually, for that, for Cosford. Think about it.
Always used to annoy me about museums, even as a kid, and this goes for natural history museums or whatever, is when you see all the stuff in the museum and you want to build something or buy a toy or whatever. You get to the museum shop and what they've actually got is like, fluffy white lions and stuff. And you're thinking, where can I build the thing that I just saw? Oh, yeah, we don't have those, but we've got a...
I tell you the only place that I know of that actually really does that, apart from the Avro Museum, is... the Tank Museum, Bovington.
Yeah. Doesn't Bovington? Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, they are the best shop. Yeah, and it's the best shop, but they're one of the best shops of a museum I've ever been to, because it covers everything. It covers you from like.
Where are you talking? Bovington.
Yeah, because it covers all like gives all your kids stuff. Kids' combat clothes, jackets, hats, and all that. All that sort of stuff. Then you got your classic sort of museumy type trinkets like magnets, and they've got tons of like, dummy shells and stuff, and all that bullets and whatever. You got all your books, your history books for all your history buffs. Your technical books, everything. Die-cast stuff, and the model shop is just. I could have spent out because they don't just do, because the thing that cracked me up with them is that they don't just do the tank, they do everything. I mean, I saw when I was there they did Zimmer, upgrade Zimmery.
And stuff they do.
Yeah, dioramas. I mean, I bought a bloody photo etch bender from there, which is not the one place I thought I'd get one from. The paints, everything.
When you go to Tank
it's on the.
Yeah, I'm going Tank Fest in June, and when you go there, like outside, it's just full of people selling modelling stuff or anything to do with tanks and that. But yeah, you're right. When you go there and it just shows you not in a bad light, but like you've got Airfix's tank range. Then they've got all the Tamiya stuff there, and it's like going into a proper model shop with all the. They have got some rare Tamiya stuff there as well, but unfortunately, because it is that kind of shop, it's priced as for a museum shop, if you know what I mean. So
it's nice to help the museum because the museum
it's like buying food at the airport.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever been to the USS Intrepid Museum in New York?
No, mate.
Because they've got the best model range in a gift shop outside the museum I've ever seen. I mean, they've got loads and loads of different aircraft on the top of the hangar decks and on top of the actual deck itself. You can buy any of them in model form in the gift shop.
That's
really,
good.
really good.
Because quite often you go in and there's like one or two of the things that they have, and Apollo, and
yeah. And I've said that at our place, our shop, and I shouldn't really say it, but our shop is shit. It just doesn't. It just I don't know. But it's like every other museum, apart from the Tank Museum.
But that's it. You've just inspired people, and probably young and old alike. You've seen some stuff there and just think, wow, I never realised. The Tiger 131. I never realised it was such a thing. I want to buy. And it's like going to the shop and like, oh, don't sell that. It's like, what?
Yeah. Why?
Why wouldn't you?
I mean, in my opinion, the Tank Museum in general is probably in this country anyway. To the museums I've been to, is the best one.
Yeah. I haven't been for about 10 years. I really need to get
but the thing is, though, they just like get everything right. You get the right sort of information. The displays are, they're great. The shop's good. Their advertising's some of the best I've ever seen. The YouTube channel is mental. They cover everything. They do their little histories on the vehicles and all that sort of stuff. Absolutely
brilliant, aren't they?
Yeah, their adverts are just like, oh, I want to go. Even though like the Christmas stuff, they just do everything right, and it's some. I think a lot of museums, and I've said ours needs to be, effectively copying what they're doing, because I think they've got it down to a T. And anybody who knows who they are.
The thing is, though, with Bovington is that they have got that they've got the money to do it, whereas, I think, I don't know, is it me being shit by saying it costs more money to get a plane back up and running than it is for a tank? I don't know. It's but they have got a lot going on there. It's a great day out. I loved it. I go there 3 times a year.
I don't know. I think it just depends. It's facilities, I think, makes a difference. I mean, they've got a good facility. They're right next to a tank, active tank station or whatever they call them.
Bovington itself, as in is the home of the Royal Armoured Corps. So they have got such a ideal location because the Armoured Corps based next to them. So they've got that, but their marketing team is really good. So they're in conjunction with World of Tanks. They're very forward thinking, so they're attracting new audiences all the time, which a lot of museums don't tend to do. Why is the RAF museum not engaged with World of Warplanes?
Well, think of the RAF or RNAS Yeovilton, the museum there. They've kind of done the opposite. I mean, they stopped the model show there because they said it wasn't making enough. Really turned a load of people off, catering to children, and they went really downhill. And you don't see them on social media in the same way. They're not a million miles away, but it's an active station. You would have thought they could have done exactly the same thing. I think it just needs some leadership and some foresight, I don't think it costs a lot to start a lot of these things, maybe to sustain them and to grow.
The thing is, though, if you're like the Tank Museum, they're in bed with World of War tanks. That's a massive chunk of money coming in because they're working together as well. They're advertising. Well, I say they're advertising the World of Tanks, and the World of Tanks going, is a fat chunk of money because you're helping us out by selling our game. And other museums can not just ours, but other museums could do exactly the same thing. But for some reason, choose not to do that. For some reason, there's plenty of things. I mean, years back when the Dornier was pulled up from Kent, we had Wargaming.net funding the vast majority of that, but nothing really happened after that with it.
Also, Bovington have also piped in to like World of Tanks and stuff because they've got big displays there from World of Tanks at Bovington. Yeah.
It's on my bucket list.
Tankfest, aren't they? World of Tanks, they're every year at Tankfest.
Tankfest is a great day out. I love Tankfest. I'm going on the Saturday 20th.
I've never been, but I've seen all the videos people put up. They're brilliant.
Yeah. 28th of. See, I would like to think that Airfix would release a tank for Tankfest.
That'll be good. There we go. 2024 meetup, guys. Tankfest in the end of June.
End of June. Yeah, I'm going up with a friend, and a lad likes tanks, so I'll take him up there, like, you know, with a friend. So, yeah, on the Saturday, go up there and have a mooch around, because that's when I first saw the tooling for the Ferret Scout.
All right, yeah.
So, but if they did release a tank, it'll be interesting.
That's pretty close to my birthday. I might give myself an early birthday present.
I wouldn't be surprised if those quick build tanks end up at Tank Fest.
Yeah.
The new tanks from Airfix.
Be a good day for releasing them, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I enjoy it, Tank Fest, and they have what's it called? Thunderstruck, don't they play in? And they're bombing around like really fast. Yeah. They are mental machines, and the smoke they billow out, like, you know, I do wonder, it's like, you know, in the Iraqi desert and they're bombing through, like, you know, these great big tanks and all the smoke billowing out. I'm thinking, you see that a mile away, just rocket it, just send a rocket over and blow it up. You know what I mean?
They had that in World War II. Those tanks would start up, and you'd hear them a mile away, and you'd see all the smoke bellow up, you know, and they would, start.
That's why when they did the inflatable ones to like distract and stuff, they always had speakers and smoke machines with them as well, specifically for that reason.
Yeah. Anyway, folks, it's 4 minutes to 10. I'm pretty tired. I think Nathan's really, I'm chuffed Nathan came on today. Really, you know, can I just suggest you go over and subscribe to the Airfix channel, and if you're on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, subscribe to it all, because there's a lot of gold dust in what they speak, and, you know, go back and go through some of the designer talks on Sprue Talk and everything, because it's brilliant. It really is good, and you'll and once you, I think I would say, if you watch 5 or 6 interviews from designers or from the Sprue, you know, from the Sprue Talks, you'll get an idea of where Airfix is heading.
Yeah,
you know, I really do believe that, and you can see, you know, the releases that are coming out. They reckon, I've heard on the grapevine that Liberator is the bollocks, and there's not a decent Liberator out there allegedly. So if they can do that, I think that's one for the American market, isn't it? I think they're going to push America this year, and that's one kit that will hit America. I think a lot of Americans are going to like that Liberator.
Yeah, because the 148th Liberator is massive. You know.
Yeah. It's 172. This one, isn't it?
172 is good.
Yeah, Luke, you've got a smoke story from the desert, apparently.
I've got a what story?
Jim Clark says Luke has a smoke story from the desert.
I've got lots of smoke stories from the desert. I mean, the thing is, yes, they do produce a lot of noise, and they do produce a lot of smoke and all the rest of it. But I can remember one particular evening in Iraq, and we were in the shit proper. So you have what's called a QRF, Quick Reaction Force, and at the time it was the Royal Hussars, which is a cavalry regiment. So their Quick Reaction Force, the Basra and outside, was 2 Challenger 2 tanks, which is quite a statement, really, in that sort of environment. And we were in trouble. And we were taking cover just outside Basra. So it's flat. The desert is quite flat outside Basra. There's not much cover, really. And we were taking fire from a particular building that was probably, I don't know, 450 meters away from where we were. So we called the QRF. And the first thing that I noticed was the ground started to shake. Almost like you would imagine a tremor from an earthquake. Ground started to shake, and then sort of over the horizon, it was like something from a film. Over the horizon, because you do have an ambient light source on the horizon, with these 2 Challenger tanks coming towards us with their turrets turning left and right. Next thing you know, you hear the noise of these 2 Challenger tanks. The fire from the building actually stopped, because they obviously realized this isn't good for us. The next thing, and these tanks were still probably over a mile away, you know. Wow. But obviously you can see them because of the terrain. And the next thing you know, the building is just rubble. And these tanks have engaged this building from a fair distance away, and the building is just rubble. it's just unbelievable. The power that these things have is just phenomenal. But yeah, they are noisy, and they're big old lumps, and they're lots of smoke and noise. But certainly during the invasion, yes, you can see them from a long way away. But a Challenger 2 or an Abrams can engage enemy tanks from so far away that the enemy tank doesn't even know they're there. You know, and they've engaged them and destroyed them before they've even realized that
on the move. And they have those gyroscopic, barrels or whatever. Yeah, it's crazy. And they weigh what, 40, 45 tons?
Yeah, Challenger 2's 50 odd tons, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I can't tell that story here, Jim.
Fair enough.
That's for the green room.
In the green room.
Yeah, they're just phenomenal bits of engineering. They really are.
Yeah.
But even when you go to the tank museum and stand next to a King Tiger,
oh yeah,
like bearing in mind this was World War II. I appreciate late World War II technology, but that thing is huge. It's massive, and until you stood next to it, I don't think you have an appreciation of how big these things are, and it's just phenomenal. And you think they designed this in World War II. It's just amazing. That's why I like armor. But yeah.
Anyways, folks, it's 10 o'clock. Thanks all for joining us tonight. Thank you, Nathan, before for coming on. I hope it helps. And anyway, folks, I hope you all have a fantastic week ahead, and we'll see you again next Monday. I'll have to get another title or something and think of something to talk about, which will help. Anyway, folks, have a good one and see you next week. Cheers all.
Bye.